Seeing none, roll call.
Reiner,
Yes.
Mr. Caldwell,
Yes.
Mr. Donofrio,
Yes.
Mr. Ragland,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes. And now I'll entertain a motion to adjourn from the organizational meeting.
Robert Ragland, second. That's the motion.
I'll second.
Okay,
We have a motion by Mr. Ragland and a second by Mr. Donofrio.
thank you. Roll call.
Mr. Ragland,
Yes.
Mr. Donofrio.
Yes.
Mr. Caldwell,
Yes.
Mr. Schreiner,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Good evening again, and welcome to tonight's virtual blended regular meeting of the Southwestern City School District Board of Education. In order to comply again with the Ohio Legislature's requirement, tonight's meeting is being broadcast live via Zoom and also on the district's YouTube channel. While operating under this virtual blended meeting environment and in the spirit of maintaining public participation, the board has accepted written comments in addition to those wishing to speak during the meeting on non-agenda items. Those wishing to address the board regarding non-agenda items must have submitted the required information to speak at the meeting or written comments to be read at the meeting prior to noon today. As of noon today, no one has signed up to address the board regarding non-agenda items. Those currently wishing to address the board on agenda items may submit their name, the topic of their comments, their email address, and the phone number from which they may be calling in the chat area of this Zoom meeting between now and 7:05 p.m. This will ensure that all voices can be heard using the following guidelines. Only 3 people may speak or submit written comments on the same topic. Each speaker may take up to 5 minutes to address the board, and each speaker may not reflect adversely on individuals. While public participation will not be interactive during tonight's meeting, follow-up with individuals submitting public comments will occur at a later time. All comments are considered public record and are therefore subject to the Freedom of Information Act. This is going to be the longest 5 minutes that you've ever waited.
Brought my keyboard.
Hey, folks can hear my neighbor's got a new dog.
Good evening, and thank you again for attending tonight's regularly scheduled Board of Education meeting. Mrs. Johnson, no one has signed up to speak on agenda items. Board President Kathy Johnson will now call the meeting to order.
Again, thank you for attending tonight's blended virtual meeting, Southwestern City School District Board of Education. Tonight's virtual blended meeting may not run perfectly, but we are doing our best to keep things running smoothly as we continue down the path of virtual blended school board meetings. The January 4th, 2021 meeting of the Southwestern School District Board of Education is now called to order. Roll call.
Caldwell,
Here.
Mr. Donofrio,
Here.
Ms. Johnson.
Here.
Mr. Ragland,
Here.
Mr. Shriner.
Here.
Next, we need a motion to approve the agenda for the meeting.
So move Shriner.
Thank you. A second?
Second, Donofrio.
Roll call.
Mr. Shriner,
Yes.
Mr. Donofrio,
Yes.
Mr. Caldwell,
Yes.
Mr. Ragland,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes. Next, we need a motion to approve the minutes of the December 7th, 2020 meeting.
So moved, Anthony Caldwell.
And we need a second.
Second, Robert Ragland.
Thank you. Are there any corrections needed to those minutes? Seeing none, roll call.
Mr. Caldwell,
Yes.
Mr. Ragland,
Yes.
Mr. Donofrio,
Yes.
Mr. Shriner,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes. Next, are there any board reports? Seeing none, moving on to, there was no public participation, so legislative liaison report, Mr. Shriner.
Thank you, Madam President, and congratulations again. I'm happy to report this is old business, short legislative report this evening because the General Assembly started back today with their initial swearing in of new members. The week of December 28th, though, 2020, Governor DeWine signed into law Senate Bill 310. The bill provides capital appropriations, including $385 million for local school construction through the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission. It requires unspent student wellness and success funds to be distributed to schools by the Ohio Department of Education in consultation with the Office of Budget and Management. Provides $3 million in lottery funds to pay for school funding studies, creates the Holocaust and Genocide Memorial and Education Commission that, among other responsibilities, would find opportunities to provide resources for schools to effectively teach about the Holocaust and genocide. Suspends current law that limits a school district's expenditures for the operation of student activity programs in the 2019-20 and 2021 school years, and temporarily moves the start date of educational choice scholarship program voucher application windows to March 2nd, 2021. The bill includes an emergency clause. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shriner. Up next, we have the Student Staff Achievement Liaison Report, Mr. Caldwell.
Thank you, Madam President. Be quick tonight. First, just want to congratulate the students from Brook Park Middle School. Their band had an opportunity to perform for Governor DeWine's COVID update on December 30th. That video can be viewed by going to any of our social media channels or our YouTube channel or Facebook. There's also a bunch of and I don't want to list them all because I don't want to leave anyone out. But we posted a ton of videos of winter concerts by choirs, bands, orchestras from a variety of our schools. Those are also available on our Facebook page, facebook.com/SWCSD, or on our YouTube channel. So please check out the great work those children did. That concludes tonight's student and staff achievement report.
Thank you. Moving now to items for action, fiscal and operational management. Mr. Schreiner.
Thank you, President Johnson. Tonight, under fiscal and operational management, there are 5 items for action. The first, the revised permanent appropriations for fiscal year 2020-21, Exhibit X1. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the revised permanent appropriations. Second, investments and financial statements for December 2020, Exhibit X2 and X3. It is recommended that in accordance with Section 135.14 of the Ohio Revised Code, the Board of Education approve December investments, Exhibit X2, and cash position report for the month of December 2020, Exhibit X3 as submitted. Total investments, $367,463,874.18. Interest earnings month to date, $132,794.25. Interest earnings year to date, $1,526,169.51, with interest rates 0.010 to 1.690%. Third, payment of bills, Exhibit X4. It's recommended that the Board of Education approve payment of bills according to the list of checks for the month of December 2020. Fourth, donations, Exhibit X5. Total donations, $648,837.94 with a big appreciation smile. Thank you for all those who have contributed. And finally, fifth, authorization to pay bills in accordance with Section 5705.41 Ohio Revised Code. See Exhibit X6. It's recommended that the Board of Education authorize the treasurer to pay bills for December, which were not processed in accordance with Section 5705.41 Ohio Revised Code. After reviewing these items, I move them for passage.
Okay, we have a motion. We need a second.
Second, Donofrio.
Thank you. Any questions?
And I just want to make a comment about the donations. I think it's important to bring a little more light to the subject. We have 2 very large donations from the city of Grove City. One was for about $500,000 for Chromebooks, and the other was for $121,000 for sprayers. The city received coronavirus relief funds from the federal government, and they were able to actually use some of the funds that they received that they could not use to help out the school district. So they reached out to us, and we're good partners in that effort to get us those Chromebooks and sprayers. I'd like to thank them personally for that. And the other one is the Discover Financial. They had an employee named Cindy Birch who lives in our school district that works for Discover Financial. She knew that they had a little donation program that they could look out in different school districts around the county through Discover Financial. And she reached out to me, and we worked together to create a little small grant to provide financial literacy books to our students. So I think that was, I'd like to commend her for reaching out to me and getting this going. And we got that done in a pretty quick time frame to get the grant written and the donation received. So I'd like to thank Cindy for helping us out with that and reaching out to me. So just wanted to give a little more color to those items.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garside. Also would like to mention on those donations that our automotive classes at the Career Academy appreciate the used cars that are donated. So if people are looking to get rid of an old car, we'd be glad to take it off your hands. Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Roll call.
Mr. Schreiner,
Yes.
Mr. Donofrio,
Yes.
Caldwell,
Yes.
Ragland,
Yes. Ms. Johnson.
Yes. Next item is policy, and I'm going to ask Mr. Caldwell to present that this evening.
Thank you, Madam President. Tonight, under policy, we have 3 items for consideration. We have our second and final reading of new policies, our second and final reading of our revised policies, and our second and final reading of our replacement policies. Having reviewed these items, I would move them for passage.
Okay, we have a motion. We need a second.
Second, Shriner.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call.
Mr. Caldwell,
Yes.
Mr. Shriner,
Yes.
Donofrio,
Yes.
Mr. Ragland,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes. And next on the agenda, we have curriculum. Again, Mr. Caldwell.
Thank you, Madam President. Tonight, we have our second and final reading under our curriculum section for our science K through 12 course of study. On the agenda, there is a detailed document that goes through all of those details, but having reviewed this document, I'd like to move it for passage.
Okay, we need a second for that.
Second. Donofrio.
Okay. Any comments or questions?
The only comment I would have is just, thanking everyone who's part of that curriculum team. It really does take a lot of people to make that happen. And so from the district-wide staff to the individual teachers and educators inside the buildings, they're really the ones that help shape the curriculum for our district. And we just can't thank them enough for their hard work.
Thank you, Mr. Caldwell. Anything else? Seeing none, roll call.
Mr. Caldwell,
Yes.
Mr. Donofrio,
Yes.
Mr. Ragland,
Yes.
Mr. Shriner,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes. Next on the agenda, facilities development, Mr. Donofrio.
Good evening, President Johnson. Congratulations and Happy New Year. On the board agenda tonight for facilities development, we have 3 items. Granting American Electric power easement and right-of-way for utilities for the new Finland, Norton, and Pleasant View middle school projects. Having reviewed these items, I recommend their passage and move to do so at this time.
Okay, we need a second.
Second, Robert Ragland.
Thank you, Mr. Ragland. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call.
Mr. Donofrio,
Yes.
Mr. Ragland,
Yes.
Mr. Caldwell,
Yes.
Mr. Shriner,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Again, Mr. Donofrio, this time for students, school, and community.
Thank you, President Johnson. For students, school, and community, tonight we have 1 item, approval for the Grove City High School Spanish class to travel to Spain from June 20th to 29th, 2022. Hopefully, life has returned to a sense of normalcy by that point. Having reviewed this item, I recommend its passage and move to do so at this time.
We'll need a second.
Second, Anthony Caldwell.
Thank you, Mr. Caldwell. Roll call.
Yes.
Mr. Caldwell,
Yes.
Mr. Ragland,
Yes.
Mr. Shriner,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes. Moving now to personnel and Vice President Ragland, will you present that this evening?
And once again, thank you and congratulations, President Johnson. On the board agenda this evening are 5 personnel items involving 26 persons. This includes 2 certificated and administrative resignations, 9 certificated employments, 5 classified resignations, 9 classified changes in employment status, and 1 classified employment. And after review of these items, I do recommend them for passage.
Okay, we have a motion. We'll need a second.
Second, Shriner.
Shriner.
Okay, roll call.
Who's the second?
Shriner.
Okay.
However you like.
Mr. Ragland,
Yes.
Mr. Shriner,
Yes.
Caldwell,
Yes.
Donofrio,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes. And seeing that we have no public participation, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you.
Anthony Caldwell.
Need a second?
Second, Robert Ragland.
Thank you, Mr. Ragland. Roll call.
Mr. Caldwell,
Yes.
Mr. Ragland,
Yes.
Mr. Donofrio.
Yes.
Mr. Shriner,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Again, thank you all for attending this evening, and thank you to my fellow board members for allowing me to serve as president this year. Stay safe out there.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.